he ale mai ka ili molo ka inui a hina po I mai ka ua e pili a he ala oe ho I mai a he ala oe ho I mai molo ka inui a hina ho me hanau pule o aina kaya ke a me kuapaka please oh please bring Hawaii lona home he puna hele Hawaii lona aua na I ke kai paani ano na ke ki atu oi he aloha no ka ilio au kai he aloha no ka ilio au kai molo ka I nui a hina ho me hanau pule o aina kaya ke a me kuapaka please oh please bring Hawaii lona home make au e haoli ia oi e ke aloha hoa I paani kai papau he puna hele hoa lona he puna hele hoa lona molo kai nui a hina ho me hanau pule o aina kaya ke a me kuapaka please oh please bring Hawaii lona home molo kai nui a hina ho me hanau pule o aina kaya ke a me kuapaka please oh please bring Hawaii lona home please oh please bring Hawaii lona home please oh please bring Hawaii lona home
All right, hey, how's it everybody? Let's see, I've got some double action going on. There we go. All right, hey, how's it everybody? It is right around 5 p.m.-ish West Coast time. I'm going to say it's 2 p.m. Hawaii time, 8 p.m. on that there East Coast, and 7 p.m. for our Central Time folk. I am mad statter today, and today I made poor choices. I made poor choices today, and this is a reflection of the poor choices. Indeedly-do. Last night I thought I did things, and then I did not, and then today I didn't do them until now, and so here we are. It sounds like we have got a house full of folks, and it looks like Pacola T is in Tokyo. All right, so let's see here. Shock, I'm sorry that your computers are going cocky-wumpus. Is Mercury in retrograde? You gotta ask. You know, you always just got to ask. All right, let's see here. Rick is going to be K for a few minutes, and that is okay because I was K for a few minutes as well. Mama Sean coming in on that there YouTube side. Let's see here. Who else has been hanging out for the last 10 minutes or so? We got Elaine saying aloha to everybody. Mama Sean and Elaine having a little chit chat there on the YouTube side. And let's see, we got E-Music. We got Kenny from the Cove. By the way, Kenny, we are going to talk about that, even though I didn't respond. We're going to talk about it. Let's see here. We got Shock, yeah, bumming about our computers, and I don't even know how a computer dares break in front of your presence, my friend. I just do not understand. All right, so what else we got here? Kenny from the Cove, Pacola T just arrived in Tokyo and be out and about today. Have a good one, chatters. Fantastic. Thank you for checking in all of your wonderful travels. I can't believe that you even think of us when you're out there in Tokyo. And, all right, let's see here. Elaine and Mama Sean and Kenny and Shock. And my music volume is too high. All right, we can do that. We can do that. I have just lowered the music volume. Unfortunately, every song is mixed a little bit differently, so the next song I might need to raise it up. But if the music still needs to be turned down, let me know. I did like thwack it down by about five, I don't know what, decibels. So yeah, just let me know. All right, you guys, hold on. Okay. I guess, even though the party's already started, it's time to get the party started. So let's not forget to do our little intro, even though it's 12 minutes past where the intro should happen. Boop. And looking at that intro, my oh my hair has gotten so much longer and floofier. I'm so happy with my progress. All right, so I don't know what's been going on with you guys in your life, but let me just tell you right now, I've been meaning to tell you this for a minute, but I want to confirm now, for those of you who were not party to, hey Verity, good to see you. For those of you who, oh wait, hold on, shot coming in. So the Windows 10 box is claiming disk errors. It's an SSD and is repairing. The Windows 11 box, of course, required a crap ton of updates upon boot, and no, you cannot defer those, and it's still flaky AF. Interesting. I haven't bought I need to get an 11 device. My 10 is still, well, we're still here working on the 10, but yeah, I need to start looking into upgrading my thingamabop, as it were. I mean, didn't Windows 10... I do not think you need to get a Windows 11 device. No, you're right, I don't need to, but everything that I've been told about upgrading from one to another, they say it's a pain in the arse, and I don't really know if it is, and I get scared. But maybe if I don't have to, I won't. So that's a good conversation to have. I'm glad we're talking about that. But speaking of flaky AF, do you remember there was a time in my life, not now of course, where I was flaky AF, and I recently got pulled over back in May. Actually, I got pulled over for it because, and if you didn't know this story, I'm telling it to you now. I apparently, no, there's no apparently, I did. There's no allegedly. I was guilty of this for 5 years. 5 years. I didn't register my car, or in like Hawaii parlance, my car didn't go through safety check. Every year you need to, it's called getting your tabs renewed here in Washington. And basically what it is you're paying for your car's registration for the year, and then they give you a little sticker that you put on your license plate that shows that you are good for the next 12 months. So I didn't do that for 5 years. And so finally the cops pulled me over for it. I was shocked. I got a $237 ticket, and when the cops asked me like, why didn't you do this? It was legitimately my legitimate response was I spaced. I mean, for real, that was my legit response. I spaced. And he was like, oh yeah, that happens. And so then he told me, like, to get the or get registered as soon as possible. And then he was like, you're going to get a ticket, but this is how you get out of the ticket. And he was like, basically just explain the circumstances and prove that you got your registration taken care of. So there was a lot more to this pullover stop, actually, which we may or may not get into. But the citation that was delivered from said stop was based on the 5 years without registration. We had another conversation about the aroma emitting from my vehicle and how much it smelled like, and why it smelled like. And when was the last time you did something that smelled like this? kind of thing, but that's a different thing. No citation for that, by the way. But so talk about oops, right? So I got my registration, and then we didn't have to, he said you can go to court, but here in Seattle area, you don't have to go to court. I mean, you can, but you can also just do it either online or via mail. I couldn't figure out the website. I truly didn't understand how to deal with the website. So I wrote a letter, and this is what I wrote to the judge. I said, I had no idea my registration was overdue. As soon as I got home from the ticket, I tried to go online and take care of the issue, but because I was so delinquent, I had to wait until the next day and go register in person. See attached copy of registration. My only excuse for this lap is that I've always gotten a reminder in the mail when I needed to renew, but I never got one of those in the past 5 years. In my defense, this was of the COVA era. Time sort of blurred between years, and suddenly 5 years had passed. The neighborhood I live in does have a mail theft problem, and I'm guessing the original statement from 5 years ago got stolen. Once again, this would have been during the COVA era when the world was strange. I guess I didn't notice. It is my understanding that after you miss 1 year of the renewal, the state doesn't bother to send any more, which is why I didn't get any notices after that. I feel foolish admitting all of this, but the above statement is true and correct. And so a few months after that, I got another letter in the mail from the court, letting me know that the $237 fine that I was imposed has been dismissed, and everything has been, well, I probably shouldn't show you all the things, but basically, I got out of it. That pathetic little, like, oops, I spaced letter, because that's all that letter was saying is, oops, I spaced, was apparently good enough. And so, if anybody ever asks you, or wonders, is oops, I spaced a good enough excuse? I dare say I've got a legally binding proof that oops, I spaced absolutely is a good enough excuse under certain circumstances. And the ironic, or not ironic actually, if anything, as Kenny pointed out, Hoopty smelling like herbs, Miss Molly. Perhaps, Kenny, perhaps. I'm admitting nothing. But the fact that the Hoopty did perhaps smell like herbs only goes to prove my oops, I spaced commentary. It definitely doesn't, like, argue it. Hey, Thomas the Turtle. I'm just bragging about my oops, I spaced moment with the law and how my oops, I spaced excuse actually worked. But in regard to the herbs situation, yes, we did have a conversation, the officer and I, about just what happened when and where. But then, because I'm an idiot, or what, I don't know. Anyway, because I like to talk, that conversation got derailed. I didn't get out of the ticket. I got the ticket, dude. I got the ticket. The cop gave me the ticket. And the judge who got me out of the ticket was a chick who never saw me. However, the cop did tell me how to get out of the ticket, so there is that. Herbs, onions, garlic, and ginger, precisely. He was asking me if I was cooking a curry in my car, and I said no. No, that's not exactly how the conversation went down, but this is a little bit, hey Andre, good to see you. This is a little bit how the conversation went down. He, and I had a conversation, and then he mentioned, he was like, it's kind of funny I'm pulling you over for this because just last week I went through training to how to identify hardcore, long-term cannabis users and how affected they get by smoking with driving. He's like, I literally took this training just last week. At which point I said to him, oh, that's so interesting because I do a live stream And the Honolulu Police Department recently did the exact same training that you're talking about. And my live stream did a whole segment about that. And then he's like, oh, really? Now, isn't it interesting? And so we ended up chatting on the side of the road for probably 10 minutes about the training and how wonderful it is that they do the training and how blah, 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 blah. And he was like, yeah, it was the funnest training I've ever had. You know, we got to eat a lot of donuts. We got to eat, you know, they fed us, blah, 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 blah. And yes, Andre, thank you so much for those biddies. But either way, I drove away. Oh, and he also pointed out, he's like, you know, after 45 days, not 5 years, 45 days, we could impound your car for not having registration. And so all I knew was when I drove home, because I did get to drive home, I was counting my blessings. I was counting my blessings on how he was a very nice officer. He was a young Sikh dude. His little turban was all cute and tight and everything. And how very lucky I am that I was able to drive my car home. Yes. And Thomas the Turtle, thank you so much for 3-week streak. Woohoo! And let's see here. Ma'am, I pulled you over because your vehicle smells of herbs. We suspect you to be in possession of curry or soup, Miss Davis. Are you currying? Yes, exactly. That's pretty much how the conversation went down. And Andre, thank you so much for throwing down all of those gift subs for all of those people. That is so awesome. But yeah, I was currying, as it were. Actually, well, yeah, I was currying. And I don't like it when I get pulled over when I've been currying because it makes me nervous. But alas, Thomas, Wacky Backy is legal in Washington, but you're not allowed to drive under the influence. You certainly aren't allowed to imbibe while driving, which means your car generally shouldn't flip and reek of it. And I'm not saying I was doing any of those things, but I'm also not saying I wasn't. How about that, okay? Allegedly, I may have been. I was on my way home from work, okay? Anyway, yeah, bad habits. Do as I say, not as I do. And so, so Andre, thank you so much for even more 400 biddies. And I don't know if I even said aloha to Verity because I was busy telling my silly story about being so spaced. And I was spaced, and that's just how that went. So, right, I can neither confirm nor deny. Exactly. But, all right, Kenny. So, Kenny from the Cove has a question for you guys. And I would like to put this up for discussion because I actually fell asleep last night pondering this. So I do apologize, Kenny, for not getting back to you about whether or not we could talk about this. But I was actually thinking about this, and I have been. So, Kenny from the Cove, in case you guys don't know, he actually writes little books, or actually not little. He writes stories, and they're like 150 flipping pages. You know, I mean, they're like legit. All stories are legit, but I mean, you know, like anyway, he's been known to throw down some pages. All right, complete story arc, the whole nine, like with notes and everything. And Kenny is, I think, currently writing a new one. And he is trying to decide whether or not one name or another is better for the lowest, slimiest, hardcorest, badass MFer in the Wild West. Let's see here. Hold on. I'm gonna quote you. I'm gonna quote you what Kenny told me about this gentleman. Now, this gentleman is not a gentleman by any stretch, but all right. So this person is truly horrible, but too rash and kind of stupid frontier bad guy. So, more ominous. Okay, creating a character for something I'm writing. Which of these two names below would sound more ominous, more bad company for an Old West outlaw? And the choices are Cyrus Moon or Kane Bailey. And and so I'm gonna write this down here: Cyrus Moon or Kane Bailey. Now, no, that's not how Cyrus spells Cyrus's name. Cyrus is spelled like that. There we go. Kane Bailey or Cyrus Moon. Here's my thoughts. Cyrus Moon is too much like Cyrus Black from the Harry Potter series. And Cyrus, isn't Cyrus, or is it Sirius Black? No, Cyrus Black. Cyrus Black was actually like a good guy in the series. Sirius Black. Okay, well, Sirius Black reminds me of Cyrus Moon. And to me, Cyrus Moon sounds more like a name of a bad guy who does secret good things. Whereas Kane Bailey, to me, sounds more like the most problematic son of a problematic family. Like, oh, them Baileys, you can't trust them. Kane Bailey's the worst. You know what I'm saying? And Sirius Black sounds like a black radical name. Yeah, actually it does, doesn't it? But to me, like, Kane Bailey to me sounds more like just like, oh, I'm cursing the name of the Bailey family. Kane Bailey's the worst. Sirius Moon sounds like he's sort of he's a bit of a yin and a yang. Like, he can flip on ya or whatever. Like, I don't know. Or Cyrus Moon sounds like he's the old wise guy, the old wise outlaw who's gonna get the best of Kane Bailey. And so this truly heinous character shot and killed the main character's only son. Yes, I feel like I don't know. I guess it just all depends. Like, exactly, Shuck. Moon is just not a mean name. That's ultimately, Cyrus Moon just isn't. Cyrus Moon just isn't a mean name. I feel like Kane Bailey just has. I mean, first off, there's the Kane. I mean, let's just get real. Now, you're not spelling it the same way, so that's good. But Kane already has that underlying subconscious, yeah. But to me, like, oh yeah, that Bailey clan, they're not good, and Kane's the worst, Cyrus Bailey, you thought Cyrus was bad? Wait till you meet his younger brother who's got something to prove, and that'd be Kane, and Kane's the worst of the bunch. Cyrus has been locked up for years. You ain't got nothing to worry about with Cyrus because he's locked away up in Deadwood. It's Kane you gotta worry about. And that's true, Andre. Moon might not sound so scary, but it is related to a lunatic. And hey, Darlene, good to see you. Just driving back from Madison, visiting the grandkids. Good. Yeah, exactly. Cain and Abel. Yeah. But Cain was spelt differently than that. But yeah, Cain by sort of. I mean, I'm not even I'm not a Christian. Didn't grow up in a Christian family. I don't know my Bible stories, but even I know that Bible story, right? It just is. And Cain sounds badass. Cain is just a guy under bad stuff. Yeah, I feel like Kane Bailey to me is more a scary. And let's see here, Mama Sean, maybe something like Cyrus Jones, so you feel the Cyrus more. Okay, there you go. And so let's see here. So Verity's saying Luna. So what? Sirius Luna? Or are you just agreeing with the lunatic? Yeah. So yeah, Kenny, what say you about these opinions? How hard are you attached to the moon, the moon name? Because despite the fact that I'm just sitting here going, Kane Bailey, Kane Bailey, Kane Bailey, it seems like most folks think that Cyrus name is what's hitting their old Western bad man vibe. I, however, am in agreement with Andre. Cyrus just isn't a mean name to me. I kind of have to agree with that. But then again, you also have just heard my Kane Bailey rant, and so there you go. But it seems like everybody else is, other than Andre and myself, seems like most people are all about the Cyrus. So, but the moon is what's sort of making us go, yeah, I don't know how scary that is. Cyrus Mesa? Okay, well now we're getting into something a little bit more better. And so I don't know. I just I'm just hoping that all of these things will sprinkle seeds of ideas and thoughts, and you'll probably come up with a whole new name like Joe Bob Billy Thorpe or something. And what about Cyrus Boone? Ooh, now that isn't very similar to Moon, but not as gentle. And, you already know that we've got ourselves a Daniel out there. So, Boone, I do enjoy Boone, but here, let's see what Andre was saying about the Bibla. What's the Bibles have to say? In the Bible, the name Cyrus from the Hebrew Koresh has several possible meanings, including son. Oh, interesting. Son possesses the furnace, or he who bestows care. Primarily, Cyrus is known as the Persian king who conquered Babylon, and according to biblical account, issued a decree allowing the exiled Jews to return to Jerusalem and rebuild the temple. Okay, well, I have to say, actually, Cyrus Moon, knowing that Cyrus means son, and then Moon meaning what we know it means, that's actually kind of funny. But I don't know if that's really what you're going for. And biblically speaking, Cyrus does sound like a fairly nice guy, although one could argue his decree screwed things up, but that's okay. Cyrus Mark. I don't like Cyrus Mark. For some reason, though, that reminded me of Miley Cyrus. So Cyrus Miley? No. And let's see here. Mama Sean, I like the old literally name game, which is your middle name and the area you grow up in. Oh, I've never had that game or heard of that game. I've heard of your porn name, which is the name of your first pet and the street you grew up on. And I have to say that my porn name would be Pepper Town. And I feel like Pepper Town would be a really good porn name, actually. And so the meaning of Kane, says Andre, depends on its origin, but it's often associated with warrior in Irish and Scottish Gaelic, meaning fighter, or battlefield in Hawaiian. Kane is the name of a major god of creation. It also means male. Other meanings include beautiful in Welsh, beautiful or golden in Japanese. A mark is a target in some slang. That is true. Kane Bailey, that's what I'm going with, runs with his younger brother, their cousin, and their cousin Cyrus Moon. We're saying it wrong. So, Kane Bailey, that's what you're going with, runs with his younger brother. Ooh, so there is a Bailey clan. See, there's a Bailey clan, right? And it's just, yeah, them Baileys, you can't trust what them Baileys been up to. And they're running with that guy, Cyrus. I don't trust him either. His last name bite me Moon, but he's darker than a moonless night. Nope, ain't no light in that soul. Just look in his eyes. See, there you go. That's where we go. There we go. They're a bad bunch of folk. Them Bailey brothers and that Cyrus Moon feller. I don't trust that Cyrus. I never trusted the Baileys. But once that Cyrus Moon came into town and started hanging with that clan, I knew he was up to no good. No, I knew he'd be bringing bad news with him. Yeah. Yeah, alright, it's been decided. Kane Bailey. It's the Bailey clan that you just cannot trust. All right, there we go. It has been decided by the Statterbox crew, and it will probably be changed by the author at some point because that's what authors do. But right now, the working character is Kane Bailey. That's right. The Bailey clan can sure make some Strom cream. It will put you on your butt. Well, them there, but that's the only thing that comes good out of that Bailey house. Their moonshine. They know how to run that shine up and down the trail. Yeah, no, that's the only thing that comes out of good. It's the only reason why we put up with the Baileys. Because they run in good shine. But you know, if they run good shine, they got other things that they do as well. That's what keeps them running good shine. Don't trust them. Don't trust them unless I gotta buy a bottle. Then their bottles are the best. I trust their bottles. I trust the Bailey bottles. See, there we go. We're creating subplots already here. And yeah, I know moonshine and the Wild West is not exactly at all a thing that happened. That was Appalachia. And I'm not even using the right accent for Appalachia. But, you know, Southern, Western, oh, whatever. I seen him do it. It were him, that one with the B for his mark. Exactly, Verity, you got it. And Trail Dust, good to see you. What say you, Trail Dust, versus Kane Bailey or Cyrus Moon? Which one of those fellers sounds a little more scary to you? And Darlene, I just had at daughter's house a warm mug of Bailey's. That's wonderful. Yummy, yummy, yummy. And let's see here. Elaine, you would be an awesome narrator in those Audible books. I love listening to your chatter. I would like to do an Audible book, but the problem is all the times I've ever tried to submit my voice for that, they want you to produce your own stuff, i.e. in your own booth where there's no sound, and I don't have a booth, and so like every time I try to submit audio, they're like, yeah, but there's a small hum in the background. And it's like, oh, shoot, that was my refrigerator. I forgot about that. And just, it's more difficult than you would think. And I live near an airport. Right, yeah. It's more difficult than you would think to do those audiobooks, oddly enough. And they're like, well, why don't you build a studio in your closet? It's like, first off, it's my only closet in my house, and it's already chock full of stuff that needs to be in my closet. Like, I can't, what do you mean build a studio in your closet? But that's what people do, apparently, because they get more than one closet. And I agree, Darlene, Kane Bailey sounds more ominous to me. I totally agree. There's something about the double Kane, Bay, that double A, you know, it just, I don't know. I just feel like Kane is, to me, now Trail Dust, I mean no offense, but to me Kane Bailey sounds much more terrifying than Trail Dust. And, let's see here, Shock. Fortunately, I have an old spinning platter disc that came out of this box. Don't know quite exactly what that means. Let's see here. You know, when I stayed in Evansville, I started to stop noticing the airplanes going over unless then when I was outside. Oh, absolutely, Andre, because, yeah, Evansville, that's basically where I live. I mean, exactly where I live. What? I thought you lived in Seattle. Wait, I thought you lived in Burien. Where? You live in Evansville? Yes, all of these things are kind of true. I live less than a mile from the border of Seattle. I technically live in Burien. But there's a neighborhood, or no, it's not even a neighborhood, it's a subsection of Burien. You know how all towns have like their own little subsections or whatever? Well, my little section is Evansville. And Evansville is, yes, very right by where the airplanes land. And yeah, you don't really hear them unless here's what happens. You get so used to them that unless the airplane is like, whoa, that needs mechanical inspection right away, you know, you can hear like, that's not how a plane is supposed to sound. That plane has, somebody left a wrench in that plane. That engine's just going, And airplanes aren't supposed to sound like krr-thunk, 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 krr-thunk. Oh my God. And that actually did happen 3 nights in a row. Same plane. Or when they're really big and low, lower than usual, then they like shake the house. But for the most part, yeah, you just don't notice. And exactly, Darlene, Trail Dust 55, your name just makes me think of a cowboy riding his horse, kicking up some dust. And Trail Dust, yep, Darlene, and I'm usually at the end of the line, keeping an eye out on the others. Well, you know, Trail Dust, and I'm sure you do. This whole, like, leader of the pack, and the whole, like, I'm an alpha, I'm the pack leader. Yeah, and you know what the pack leader does? He's in the back. Wolf packs, the pack leader is in the back, making sure that everybody stays together and that the back is defended. The old and the infirm are at the front, kind of setting the pace. Next one is the next level guys, who are protecting the old and the infirm and also everybody behind them. And then you got the leader who's watching their entire crew in front of them. So, you know, you the leader of the pack, even if you in the back. And Katie, good to see you. Oh no, Terry, a time change and you didn't know. Terry, I started in theory like 42 minutes ago, but I was also really late, so it was a lot of the starting the intro song, and then there was about 8 minutes of Lono music, and then I started. So we started late. Yeah, but the stream did start at 5. But we didn't really start doing anything until about 5:15. And you had a time change. Oh, that's what it is. Well, I'm glad to see Katie Zora and Terry coming in. And I don't know if Katie's confused about the time or if she's confused about the pack leader. But yeah, the pack leader, oddly enough, goes from the back. And Andre, you are fully correct when it comes to how they determined the alpha thing and how the alphas act was based on captive wolves that were not in their natural habitats, and so it was completely like they were trapped. They were trapped animals. They were not acting in their natural way. So yeah, you're totally right. But at the same time, there is an alpha of a pack. There is, and by alpha I do mean a leader. But that leader isn't necessarily the one that's the most dominant and stomping on everybody. It's a different kind of leadership. And instead of being the leader of the pack, i.e. the front, the alpha, the main one in charge is usually the one in back. So he can keep it on. He's, you know, it's the general, sort of just like in armies. The general is not the front line, right? The general is not the one that's, he's behind his troops watching how they're maneuvering. And so, Terry, thank you so much for that 1,000 biddies. And let's see here. Katie and I have been hanging out in Discord waiting for me. Oh my God. I am so glad that you finally got here. I just figured you guys were having a good time on a game or something. And so let's see here. So we're talking, well, now we're talking about wolves. We've already gone through about 18 conversations, Terry. Now we're talking about wolves. But we've got 2 more people in the house. So let's rewind for a little bit. Okay, Kenny from the Cove is writing a book, writing a story, and one of the characters is the lowest, meanest, darn tootinest, rooter tootinest, badass, MFer. He's awful Western outlaw type person. And he's got to have a name. Now, is the name Kane Bailey that name, or is the name Cyrus Moon that name? And so the question that we pose to the chatterbox is Kane Bailey, Cyrus Moon. And I believe Kenny has come on his decision, but it never hurts to have more people involved. So these are the choices: Kane Bailey or Cyrus Moon. Which one of these people sounds more scarier, more like just the worst kind of guy, outlaw western town? Which one sounds worse? Scotland has light right now. That's kind of weird. Shouldn't they be in the dark right now? And yeah, not much we're heading into the dark time of the year. Exactly. We all smoked in the car on Oahu in the 70s. Yes, and some of us did it not in Oahu. Some of us did it in Oahu in the 2020s. 2022s. Some of us did it in Seattle in the 2025s. And let's see here. Cyrus Manson, is that what you're suggesting? Or Kane? Wait, Manson? I didn't have anything to do with the Manson folks. Yes, and we heard as we came in that someone got kind of a ticket. I wonder who. I got a ticket for being a space cadet because I didn't renew my car's registration for 5 years in a row. And so let's see here. All right, so Kenny's asking a question. Okay, everybody, how plausible does this storyline sound? When sets out to get Kane, 2 Texas Rangers decide to tag along, and Tom takes a familiar to him, Comanche, to help him navigate through Indian territory if need be. I am going to corrupt the youth, Terry. Okay, so how plausible does this storyline sound? When who's Kenny, you're going to need to get a little bit more. I don't understand. When who or what sets out to get Kane? What? And then 2 Texas Rangers decide to tag along with it. So it's somebody. Wait. Okay, so is Tom? Who's Tom? Yeah, okay, so when Tom sets out to get Kane, 2 Texas Rangers decide to tag along, and Tom takes a familiar to him, Comanche, to help him navigate through Indian territory if need be. Well, I guess I have questions about that. Why would the Texas Rangers bother? You're going to have to outline why the Texas Rangers care. That's going to have to be a whole other thing. They're going to have to want him, I would assume. Like, okay, if they decide to tag along, they're either with... I've got questions here. So, why wouldn't the Texas Rangers be after him for the same reason as Tom? In which case... So they don't, so they're not, they've got nothing. Yeah, and then my next point of contention is, I don't know if the Rangers would be down with having his friend come along. Like, I feel as though that would be a whole other issue as well, is, his indigenous friend and the Rangers and him, like, that's a whole other plot point that you're gonna have to, like, I don't feel like the Rangers would, I feel like I just don't, I feel like adding the Rangers in is sort of extraneous. I don't understand why they need to be involved to begin with, unless they are the ones that are after him. And in which case, if they are the ones after him, then why are they letting Tom go with them? So these are my questions about the premise that you've outlined so far. The questions that I have could very easily be answered. The outline that you gave is very sparse. You might have the answers to all of these questions. But ultimately, one real plot point that you're going to have to explain is why that engine is traveling with them Rangers, because that's not... And by the way, I said that word... Forgive me for saying that word. You're going to have to explain that, though, because that's a confusing... And Trail Dust. Good point. Completely lost track of time. Sitting here talking about Kenny's book. So, as we ponder more about this potential book by Kenny, why don't we listen to some Lono? And by the way, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Aloha Friday. I don't know if Puzzy Cat is here, but this is Puzzy Cat and his little doggy dog's favorite song. So let's just all sing along.
E hele pohaku of Molokai. Okay, sustain. Okay, Mo Mike. Key of A if you got him. Kaulana o Molokai ia hele pohaku mai waila ua wawa uluwehe hana mene huni ke ia pola haoli mene huni e mai a me ai one by one e hele pohaku to the other side e hele pohaku one by one e hele pohaku to the other side pa 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 pohaku to the other side. Kaulana o Molokai ia hele pohaku mai waila ua wawa uluwehe hana mene huni ke ia pola haoli mene huni e mai a me ai one by one e hele pohaku to the other side e hele pohaku one by one e hele pohaku to the other side pa 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 pohaku to the other side. Luna o mauna I ke mapule uma ke kai ku hone ili ili o pai ka hale ko inoa ele aku ka ko e pohaku o wailau one by one ele pohaku to the other side ele pohaku one by one ele pohaku to the other side pa 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 pohaku to the other side. Hele I luna o mauna I ke mapule uma ke kai ku home ili ili o pai ka hale ko inoa hele aku ka ako e pohaku o wailau one by one e hele pohaku to the other side e hele pohaku one by one e hele pohaku to the other side pa 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 pohaku to the other side. Ia mai ana kapuana Molokai ka o mea hele pohaku one by one hele pohaku to the other side hele pohaku one by one hele pohaku to the other side pa 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 pohaku to the other. Let's go Meriuni. Ia mai ana kapuana Molokai I ka o me ia hele pohaku one by one hele pohaku to the other side hele pohaku one by one hele pohaku to the other side pa 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 pohaku to the other side. Traveling Rocks of Molokai. E hele po aku. E hele.
All right, so, oh, god dang it, here we go. So, all right, so, let's see here. Let's see here. Okay, so they know and respect Tom. Okay, when I asked Kenny, I was like, but why do the Rangers want to even go along? One of them grew up with Tom. They want to show a little respect and support for Tom in his time of grief. Plus, they want a little glory for themselves and by proxy, the Texas Rangers. I'm not, I still, I mean, okay, so first up, but, I guess, but if the Baileys, so Tom Landry and the Dallas Cowboys are chasing some dude named Kane. No, not at all. First off, we're not talking about the Dallas Cowboys. And Andre, okay, let's go. So Andre asks a good question, which is, but wouldn't it be the federal marshals in charge of such a hunt because they were in charge of many of the frontier areas of Texas post-Civil War? Well, Texas Rangers have been employed in Texas since 1823. And they also were used to protect the settlers on the frontier of the Texas territories. So the Texas Rangers being there as opposed to a federal marshal, that is, I think, perfectly in alignment with the historical fact. But the historical fact also, though, is the Texas Rangers are there to protect the settlers from invaders, i.e. the Indians. And so I am still unsure why a Texas Ranger would even get glory out of chasing basically a fellow white person. Tom is in charge and is a U.S. Marshal. Okay, well, that answers that as well anyway, so they'd all be. Well, but see, then that, I don't know, dude. I mean, yeah, Texas became the 28th state of the United States in 1845, but the Texas Rangers have been around unofficially since 1823, and they officially got recognized in 1835. So the Texas Rangers have technically been around longer than Texas has been a state. But now that you're saying that Tom is a U.S. Marshal, I really don't understand why the Texas Rangers would be going with him, because those two levels of government are usually at odds with each other. One of them doesn't, now I could see if the Texas Rangers were after Kane on their own hunt, and then it became the U.S. Marshal and Hunting Wolf looking for Kane, and then the the Texas Rangers also searching for Kane, but two separately, and they're on a little contest to see who can grab him first and which agency can get the glory. Because Texas Rangers aren't going to get any glory. That was a U.S. Marshal who caught him. Right? That's how those dynamics generally work with law enforcement agencies. It's a real pissing contest. It's why we've got the Department of Homeland Security now. Because back in the day, the FBI and the CIA wouldn't share anything with each other because they they thought the other one was less important than the other one, basically. And so, Terry, we're not talking about the team. We're talking about the law enforcement agency. This isn't sports ball. We're talking about Kenny's book, and it takes place in the 1800s, I'm presuming. We're not talking about sports ball. Andre, a federal marshal can cross state lines in their chase, for sure. And Hunting Wolf is the last Comanche in the area where Tom lives. Okay, well, Okay, so where is it that Tom lives? And how could he possibly be the last Comanche? I mean, first off, Comanches still are in Texas, so I don't... And are there a lot of wolves? Are there a lot of wolves in Texas anyway? Like, I've got a question about his name as well. First off, it sort of seems like... it sort of seems a little stereotypical. Like, I don't know. I am curious as to how he got his name. But hunting, considering that he is a scout, he would be a good hunt, and that's generally how he would get his Indian name. So I guess now that I think about it, maybe that's not so bad. But I realize that they've got red wolves in Texas and in Mexico. I realize that. I just have to wonder, first off, did the Comanche use the wolves for food or their pelt or, their skins, their hides? Did the Comanches hunt wolves, I guess is my question. And yeah, at one time there were wolves in Texas. I did know that. In fact, actually, I think there still are kind of in very like southern parts, and obviously like super endangered. And let's see here. In Texas, gray wolves are called timber wolves or lobo wolves to distinguish them from red wolves. The lobo and loafer come from Spanish lobo. Okay, loafer. Okay, loafer, like the shoe, or like the lazy one. Either way, that's weird, but okay. Yeah, I don't know. I've got a problem with the Rangers hanging out. Like, there's a lot of nuance there that needs to explain that. And so, hunting wolf refers to the way he tends to hunt with a wolf-like style. Okay, I hope they explain that. I hope you explain that. And yeah, that seems better. Or maybe hunts like wolf would. Anyway, yeah, that seems better. And so, let's see here. Okay, so Andre, owl wolf species in Texas became extinct or extirpated. I don't know what extirpated means. By the late 1980s. For now, there are no wolves in Texas. Okay, at one point there were two wolf species in Texas, the red wolf and the gray wolf. There was also a subspecies of the gray wolf called the Mexican gray wolf. That's so weird because I thought that the Mexican wolf was a version of the red wolf. Interesting. Here we are learning about wolves. But you know what, Kenny? It seems as though the stickiest wicket you've got is those Texas Rangers. There's so many questions surrounding their place, their necessity, or their place in that story. Or they're a pro, or even if it's just, because now that you say that Tom is a U.S. Marshal, I don't see why the Rangers would be hanging with him at all. That's, that's basically sort of just like, it's two different levels of, it's like the Washington State Patrol hanging out with an FBI agent. Like that's not the same. That's not how that works. And I realize this is modern day interpretation. Canis Rufus, are you saying Canis Rufus or whatever? Is that the wolf? Or are you just suggesting that Cain's name could be Rufus? Cain Rufus. He's a little red wolf. I mean, the idea, the storyline sounds promising, but that detail of the Texas Rangers, I just am not getting it. It's definitely a story that is worth pursuing or writing. There's just these are some of the questions that your audience is going to be like, well, wait, why is this happening? How did this happen? So be sure to really give a plot point that explains that, because to me it seems like I really don't see how the Texas Rangers are gonna get any glory off of a U.S. Marshal capture. And frankly, I don't really know if the Texas Rangers, unless they were lame, why they would even feel the need to go chase glory, because they're the flippin' Texas Rangers. They already are, like, they're already, just by definition, their own badass self. Like, if I didn't ever think that Texas Rangers had anything to prove. They already proved it. They're a flippin' Texas Ranger, right? So I don't know. And so let's see here. The Texas Rangers were also a military unit, and some fought for the Confederacy as the Texas Rangers. So after the war, a federal marshal might not want to hang out with them. Well, and then there's that. Although, Andre, I have to say, in our modern viewpoint, that's a very, very good question. A very, very good point. But, you know, I gotta say, I can only assume that sticky wicket happened a lot. Like, you know, in the South and in Texas especially, it's like, oh, my neighbor sorry about that, guys. My neighbor fought on the other side, and I got to put up with him because he's got the water rights, and I need, or whatever. I don't know. I can only assume that's that kind of stuff. I mean, you can only hang out when you're in a small town. You can only not hang out with so many people. Or, you know, sometimes you're forced to socialize or whatever. And let's see here. Okay, the one that grew up with them. I don't. And the thing is, Kenny, I'm telling you, I guess right now, because I know that you keep saying this. They know Tom and they're sympathetic to his cause. That's not a good enough reason for me. Like, I'm not. That's requiring a leap of fictional faith. A leap of fictional faith that I'm not able to make. But B, the one that grew up with Tom, is about to retire and wants one more adventure before hanging up his star. That actually, there we go. That's the plot point that makes the leap easier to take. It's like, oh, so there's really no reason. It's just, they're just going. So that is, that B, the one that grew up with Tom, is about to retire and wants more. That's, okay, there we go. Emphasize that point. Because that does cover a lot of, like, this just doesn't make sense. It's like, you're right, it doesn't necessarily make sense. And the reason why it doesn't make sense is because it's an emotionally based decision this one ranger did to go do a thing. One last brouhaha before, right. Okay, that B, the one that grew up with Tom, is about to retire. That explains a lot. To me, I'm willing to read that and go, oh, okay, that's a good enough excuse. That makes sense. And let's see here. Hold on. Terry, the 8th Texas Cavalry Regiment, popularly known as Terry's Texas Rangers, was a light cavalry regiment of Texas volunteers for the Confederate States of the Army, assembled by Colonel Benjamin Franklin Terry in 1861. And Andre's pointing out, yes, but as a federal marshal, you had to enforce federal law and might make you unpopular during the Reconstruction period. Also true. Although lesser known than the Texas Brigade's actions during the Battle of Gettysburg, the 8th Texas Cavalry distinguished itself in several battles during the American Civil War. Over 4 years of service, Terry's Texas Rangers fought in approximately 275 engagements across 7 states. Okay. All right. Okay, so there's history between some of the characters. If this is known to understand in the beginning of the story how they're connected. Yeah. Well, no, and Darlene, you might not have been here when Kenny mentioned that one of them did grow up with Tom, but to me, that still wasn't necessarily. It's still not explaining it. The need for one last hurrah. Well, that's a classic. That's a classic starting point for someone who's about to do something that makes no sense. So I can totally see, like, oh yeah, that's good enough. And Thomas the Turtle, in the late 70s, we were convoying from Austin to Barstow. We pulled up over in Fort Stock. We're going to try this again. In the late 70s, we were convoying from Austin, Texas to Barstow, California. We pulled into Fort Stockton the first night. Our first sergeant called us together before we hit the hotel and the town, and the message was short. The local cops are on strike, and the Texas Rangers are the law, so don't F around tonight. Indeed. Right, exactly, indeed. And that also sort of goes to, it's like, I don't really know why a Texas Ranger feels the need to get glory off of anybody. Texas Rangers are glory in and of themselves. I mean, not that I care because I don't live in Texas, but I do know that being a Texas Ranger is a big, big deal. And by the way, y'all, did any of you ever watch the cartoon series King of the Hill? Do y'all remember that character Boomhauer? Boomhauer, all throughout the King of the Hill series, you never really knew what Boomhauer did for a job. You just knew you couldn't understand him, and he was really popular with the ladies. And that's about all you knew about Boomhauer. But Boomhauer, as it turns out, during the very last episode of King of the Hill, when they're sort of wrapping it all up, they pan into his bedroom and you see his badge, and he's actually a Texas Marshal or Texas Ranger. I thought that was kind of a neat little plot twist, that a little cherry at the end, like, yep. And here's what Boomhauer does. He's a Texas Ranger. Can you believe it? And yes, Chuck Norris was a Texas Ranger on TV. And I know, by the way, Andre, I know that you meant to say Texas, but I also said Texas the way you wrote it, because they got one weird accent in Texas sometimes. So I'm just making fun of the Texas accent. And let's see here. Texas Ranger Captain Frank Hammer, I'm assuming Hammer, led the group that gunned down Bonnie and Clyde. Yeah, that doesn't... There you go. Texas Rangers don't F around. There's no leeway with them. That's exactly it. That is exactly it. So gosh, Kenny, I hope that this feedback is useful, but I can tell you right now that this topic has been extraordinarily useful for this stream, because I didn't have a whole lot. And here we are talking about all the things about your book for almost an hour here. And so Tom and Hunting Wolf Tom and Hunting Wolf have had beef since Tom's family moved to Central Texas. After years of struggling against each other, Hunting Wolf gets the upper and captures Tom. Realizing he's the last Comanche in the area and feeling like he's had enough of fighting and dying, he informs Tom that they call an end to the fighting and dying and just leave each other to be, or he can kill Tom on the spot. Okay. And so Mr. and Mrs. Lowe have it. Local cops follow the law. State cops interpret the law. FBI makes the law. Texas Rangers say, what law? That's funny. I don't know if you guys just made that up or if that's a real saying, but I like that. I like that a lot. All right, you guys. So, a little bit, let's see here. Will Nelson played a Texas Ranger in an episode of Miami Vice. After a shootout with some drug dealers, he said, "This one's still breathing. Shoot him again." Yeah, well, of course. That's, no witnesses. There is a reason why criminals and cops have almost identical psychological profiles, y'all. Okay? And that has been proven time and time again. Psychological profile between a prisoner and the cop who put him there are remarkably close. One just chose one direction, the other chose the other, but they're basically the same thing. Just keep that in mind. Except that really nice Sikh cop that pulled me over. I want to feed him some curry. Anyway. All right, so we can still talk about this, and I'm sure we will, because this is what seems to be the topic du jour. But I'm going to switch the topic for just a little bit, because last stream we did not have an update, but we have an update now. We have kittens. And that we think is the Poppy. We think that's Mom. Look at her nip nops. I know this generally is a safe for work channel, but I've got naked kitty nipples on this stream, so look away if you're offended by naked kitty nipples. But it's a little, she slept so hard. And there's Popper Doodles, and there's Mom. Oh my goodness, she's got naked nipples. And now the naked nipples are covered because the milk bar's full. And there's the little orange kitty, one of the orange kitties. And so, so just so y'all know, the kittens are doing very, very well. And also, just so you know, this is another kitty. Yes, 6 babies, 2 orange, 2 tabby calicos, 1 black, and 1 tuxedo. And they've all at least doubled in weight, or they've more than doubled in weight, and at least 2 of them are now over a pound. So they're huge. They're 1 pound now, and their eyes are open. And yeah, there you go. So that's that. And then this Pussycat, I'm looking in your direction. Boop. This is a picture of Leo in my closet the other day. I came in and my kitties were on my bed and Leo was in the closet, and so I had to take pictures, and and so I did. I took pictures. So that's Leo. And speaking of Leo, also last night, for those of you who were, it doesn't even matter if you were here or not, but for those of you who were here to enjoy a fluffy, lighthearted, brainless movie called Vacation Friends last night, when I took my little, when I took my backdrop down, Mr. Leo, just so you know, this backdrop is just a big canvas that's propped up on a card table and my refrigerator behind me. So I took the canvas down, and who was sitting there on the card table, just all curled up and just looking at me, and he showed his belly, but then I was like, no, I'm not going to fall for that trick again. That trick sent me to the hospital twice, so we're not going to do that. But yeah, and he was playing a little bit, and then he got some ear scritches, and so Leo definitely has been coming around a lot more lately. And yes, Leo's trying to show me, this is where you can do the sound booth. Come on, lady, here, I fit, why can't you? Well, Mr. Leo, you're 15 pounds of nothing but big buffiness. Okay, so, let's see here. Mad Setter, I can make the story make more sense to you, but it would take way too long to explain it here. I can send you one seriously long email, or you can call me. I know my sister-in-law gave me my number. Yes, okay, no worries, Kennies. You don't need to actually, and to be clear, obviously, you don't need to explain yourself to us here, or me, but these are all just the little things that it's like, if you don't have an explanation for them, even if we aren't able to be privy to it due to time and space constraints, these are the kinds of things that a reader will be wondering about. So just like, oh, okay, there you go, answer it that way. You know, it sounds like you've got a lot of answers to the questions that we are having, and as long as you've got those answers to the questions we're having, then awesome. That's just where this is just where we have had some questions, but still I am gonna stand by my Kane Bailey just sounds like the more problematic person of all between Cirrus Moon, because originally the question was this, y'all: Cirrus Moon, Kane Bailey, which one sounds meaner? It's really all he was asking us. Everything else that we just told him was not even what he was asking us. Like, this is not feedback I was looking for. This is actually the opposite of what I was hoping to hear. I just wanted the names. And instead, we gave him more than he really ever wanted. And now probably resents us for it, but that's okay. Cirrus Moon versus Kane Bailey. Kane Black. But Kenny, he's so gracious and lovely. Thank you, everybody, for your ideas and input. Love you for that. I assume you meant love you all for that. And Terry in Scotland, World Series resumes tomorrow night in Dodger Stadium. Dodgers and Jays tied at 1 game apiece. Terry thinks that Cirrus Moon is more scarier, but Kane Bailey is the way I'm going with. Yeah, Because I just feel like, especially since he's got that brother, that whole Bailey clan is problematic. I already, like, as soon as I read that name, I was like, Kane Bailey, him, and that was the first thing I thought was, that those Bailey brothers are up to no good. And so he's got a brother, so to me, Kane Bailey is exactly, like, exactly perfecto. Yeah, so there you have it. There you have it. And, yeah, exactly, Darlene. Kenny, I hope you don't think we were attacking you, because none of us are author. Well, Pinella's an author. Oh, but Pinella's not here today. But, you know, none of us are authors. None of us have taken the time to write a full-on book the way you have. Multiple times, it sounds like, if not more, at least once. And obviously, you're going on a number 2, if not 3 or 4. And yeah, anything that we might have said, obviously take with a grain of salt. And thank you so much for being open and not like just wanting to throw the computer at us through the computer screen, for giving you more input than you really did ask for. And so on my behalf, I do apologize for taking it further than really all. You were just asking for input on names. So I apologize for going a little bit further than the boundary that you had outlined in your original question. But I am glad that you're able to take it all with a grain of salt, for sure. And maybe some pepper too, because, you know, you got to spice things up. I don't know why I said that. I'm just sitting here amusing myself. And then Rick, I'm no writer. I barely take the time to write out checks these days. Shoot, Rick, most people don't take time to write out checks these days. I don't know of anybody except for me and you that actually bother to write a check these days. I actually do have a checkbook. Yeah, I know, right, exactly, Mr. and Mrs. Aloha Friday. What's a check? Yeah, exactly. I have a checkbook. Ooh, wait, hold on, don't look at that. That's my social security card. I have a checkbook, and it's got, you know, checks in it. There's, like, you know, the duplicates. And then let's see here. Yeah, there we go. See, there's my little checks. There's my little, wah! There's my checks. There's my checks. So there we go. More auto pay than checks these days. I am not rich enough for auto pay. There's very few bills I have on auto pay, and all of the bills I have on auto pay are only because they make me. You cannot have this account unless it's auto pay. And most of those are on credit cards because I can't promise that there's going to be money there. I can't promise that there's going to be money on the 13th every week, every 13th, no, there might be money there on the 12th. There might be money there on the 15th. There might be money there on the 13th. I don't know. And, wow, Mr. and Mrs. Aloha Friday, I run a grocery store and we have hundreds of customers. I'm sure I'd be willing to bet you have thousands of customers if it's a grocery store, and we get 6-ish checks a week. Right. Yeah. But you know, remember back in the day, checks used to be almost as common or more common than cash, you know, because there was no debit cards, and buying groceries with a credit card was virtually unheard of. I mean, I remember when they first started taking credit cards at grocery stores, and my mom about flipped her lid. She's like, "Oh man, if you're buying your groceries on credit, you've got bigger problems than not having money in your pocket." And let's see here. I'm involved with a couple authors, and I'm a beta reader. My guys are happy with my work. If you want a beta reader, Kenny from the Cove. And let's see here. No auto pay payments either. Most of our e-payments are programmed right to the due date. Yes, although even sometimes the due date might need to see. Yeah, I'm just not rich enough. My bank account flows way too up and down for me to even think about auto payments. And let's see, your folks used to post-date checks until banks and stores got wise to it. Oh yeah, totally, dude. No, and yeah, and it doesn't matter what date the check is anymore at the bank. You can cash it as long as if you've written that check is good to go. But not all banks do that. Like, if I go to Chase to deposit my coworker's check the day before the check due date, Chase will happily eat that money up. They'll just be like, oh, heck yeah. I don't care if it's the 24th of October and this check says the 25th of October. We'll be running this check on the 24th because you gave me the check on the 24th. Whereas my credit union, they look at a check and they're like, oh, it's written for tomorrow. We can't cash it till tomorrow. And it's just like, yes, you can. But I don't yell at them too much because they're nice. But some banks actually don't do that, even though I thought it was a law that they had to, but whatever. Let's see here. I don't know what, oh no. What did Terry, what did you do? There should be at least be one character named Lucky Jim Whorehouse McGee. Of course there should. Let me just ask you one thing. Have you ever been to a tiny western town that doesn't have someone named Lucky Jim Whorehouse McGee? There's a Lucky Jim Whorehouse McGee in every tiny western town. Of course, Terry, of course there's going to be a guy. It's written in the law books. The last Lucky Jim died, so the next man in town will be bestowed with the name Lucky Jim Whorehouse McGee. Because we just buried our third Lucky Jim Whorehouse McGee in the graveyard over there, so we needed our town's Lucky Jim Whorehouse McGee. Come apply within. Right? Right? There is going to be a Jim McGee now. I think I can find a as yet unnamed character to give that name to. Thanks for the suggestion. Don't forget about the whorehouse part. All right, so we have managed to babble for almost an hour and a half. We've got 2 minutes left to the bottom of the hour. And I really, really, really appreciate Kenny for bringing this topic to the table because I didn't have anything but kittens. I had kittens and I had 2 Lono videos, and that's all I had for today. So, so we definitely accomplished more than we set out for. And that Lucky Jim we just buried wasn't really all that lucky. Nope, he wasn't. Well, actually, you know what though? Maybe he was, because who knows? The guy that was in the accident with them, he's still lying in bed dying. That guy, that accident killed Jim instantly. That's what made him lucky. Oh, he was killed instantly. No suffering at all. Lucky Jim Whorehouse McGee. Lucky till the end. That guy over there, though, he's still suffering. He ain't lucky the way Lucky Jim was lucky. Mr. and Mrs. Whorehouse McGee has an interesting ring to it. If you show up like that one day, I will definitely know who it is. Even if we came in late, this is a very interesting chat tonight. Yeah, I mean, talk about scattering. We have did scatter. And we're just going to have to scatter away in about a minute. Nope, already scattering away. So I don't know if Pussycat's here. He should have given my 2-minute warning, but that's okay because I was already looking at my 2-minute warning. All right, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out for a bunch of nonsense tonight. I had a remarkably good time. I hope you all did too. Hopefully we'll see each other on Wednesday. Right, they called him Lucky because he was anything but lucky. That's exactly it, Mama Sean, exactly. Just like those huge Samoan dudes that are called Tiny. There we go. That's Lucky Jim. Yeah, there we go. That is Lucky Jim. Okay, you guys, so thanks for hanging out. We will see each other, hopefully, like I said, on Wednesday. If we don't see each other on Wednesday, we might see each other on Tuesday, Andy Boomatai's Daily Pigeon Live. And if we don't see each other on either of those days, this next Saturday will be our annual showing of Coco, because it will actually be that's right, Dia de los Muertes. Even though it's not really how you're probably supposed to say it, but I don't speak Spanish. So Dia de las Muertes, Coco, November 1st, Statterbox at the cinema, Map Statter, and we'll watch it again.